Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I would like to welcome you all for joining today's class, His Holiness Chandramauli Maharaj's daily online class. Thank you all for joining. My humble obeisances to you all. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Vrshabh Prabhu. So, dear devotees, today's class will be given by His Grace Vrshabh Prabhu, and we will continue with the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, verse 16 onwards. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, do you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, Maharaj just came into my room and give blessings for this class. So I hope we also have blessings of all the Vaishnavas. I'm doing this on the phone. So can I ask Prabhu if you can read the verse?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can do it certainly. Do you want to do the invocation verse and then I can invocation pronounce?
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Srimad Hare Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, verse 16. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. वैयासकिश्च भगवान् वासुदेवपरायणः उरुगाय गुणोदारः सतां स्युर्हि samagame. Translation. Shukadev Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, who was also full in transcendental knowledge and was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, son of Vasudeva. So there must have been discussions of Lord Krishna, who is glorified by great philosophers and in the company of great devotees. Prabhuji, do you want me to read the purport as well?
Right, yes, please, the whole thing.
Oh, yes. Okay. It's purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The word satam is very important in this verse. Satam means the pure devotees who have no other desire than to serve the Lord. Only in association of such devotees are the transcendental glories of Lord Krishna properly discussed. It is said by the Lord in his topics that his topics are full of spiritual significance. And once one properly hears about him in the association of Satam, certainly one senses a great potency and so automatically attains to the devotional stage of life. As already described, Maharaj Parikshit was a great devotee of the Lord from his very birth, and so was Shukadev Goswami. Both of them were on the same level, although it appeared that Maharaj Parikshit was a great king accustomed to royal facilities, whereas Shukadev Goswami was a typical renouncer of the world, so much so that he did not even put a cloth on his body. Superficially, Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadev Goswami might seem to be opposites, but basically they were both unalloyed, pure devotees of the Lord. When such devotees are assembled together, there can be no topics save discussions of the glories of the Lord or Bhakti Yoga. In the Bhagavad Gita also, when there were talks between the Lord and his devotee Arjuna, there could not be any other topic than Bhakti Yoga. However, the mundane scholars may speculate on it in their own ways. The use of the word cha after Vaiyasikaha suggests, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, that both Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit were of the same category, settled long before, although one was playing the part of the master and the other the disciple. Since Lord Krishna is the center of the topics, the word Vasudeva Parayanaha or devotees of Vasudeva suggest devotee of Lord Krishna, the common name. Although there were many others who assembled at that place where Maharaj Parikshit was fasting, The natural conclusion is that there was no topic other than the glorification of Lord Krishna, because the principal speaker was Shukadev Goswami and the chief audience was Maharaj Parikshit. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, as it is, was spoken and heard by two principal devotees of the Lord, is only for the glorification of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna.
Om Jnana-timirandasya Gana Shalakaya Chakshum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namo Bhishtam Saptam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupam Kadammayam Tadam Tisvapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parikala Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahaganalayita Shri Vishakam Vitamisha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabhanu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kantana Kantana Apta Kanchana Gaura Gira Davindavareshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriya Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripakindu Bhyevacha Patitana Pavanibhyo Vaishnava Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Chandramauli Swami Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nirusha Shunyavadi Pashatate Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare. I'm really grateful. Thank you, Prabhu, for reading this. So lovely. So we are continuing on the Srimad Bhagavatam. They are speaking about the qualities of pure devotees. They are speaking about sadhu sangha. I had some experience by traveling in Maharaj, by serving Maharaj for sadhu sangha and associating with a spiritual master day by day, week by week. So I would like to share some of the realizations and experience, and also if you have some questions about it, I would really like that we churn this topic together. One of the main topics in this verse was saying, what are the pure devotees speaking about? So sadhu sangha, when we are associating with each other, there is three ways of loving exchanges. In the morning lecture, I was speaking elaborately about developing loving relationships, and one of those aspects of instructions, verse number 4, is that we give and accept gifts, prasadam, and thoughts. So thoughts of the philosophy, thoughts of our realizations, thoughts about topics that is related to Krishna, Krishna's associates, about, let's say, spiritual master, and anything related to our spiritual advancement. We can say, okay, but what about our job, work, family, and everything? Well, if you're speaking in the sense, oh, I cannot enjoy, or I can enjoy, or how I enjoyed it, then it is material. But if you are speaking about how we are nicely trying to engage it, how we try to engage our family, preach to them, preach to others, and how we actually trying to all together to serve Krishna, then we are actually evoking empowerment. Because speaking is really dangerous thing. People would say that, oh, let me give classes, let me speak, let me share many things with others, but we have to really careful with what we share, because everything what we say, we actually start to, how to say it in English, it becomes more fixed in our mind. So if we are sharing some concepts which are not right, we are actually getting more convinced about them. The mind is trying to understand our mixed conceptions in the deeper, and we are actually getting deeper into ignorance. So that's why it's important that we read, listen, and repeat what we heard from the acharyas for spiritual master. and try to see this in many different ways in our life. Because one thing that is emphasized is here in the verse how Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit, they were saying that normally they will speak about Krishna consciousness. So how is it possible for a king who is immersed in activities of rulership, which I cannot imagine what kind of topics daily he has to counteract, how can he be immersed in Krishna consciousness? And of course, Sukadeva Swami, he was a renunciate, so the only thing that he was doing was Krishna consciousness. In a sense, I would say that I adore Parikshit Maharaj because he's Krishna conscious, even as such a high position in material world. And I also adore Sukadeva Goswami for actually being able to renounce the material world. So I'm not like I'm always not sure which is more glorious of these two. I guess both of them. This is like a lesson for us because what we speak is a reflection of what our mind is thinking of. And our mind is thinking of things that we have fed him. Every image, every sound, every conversation is influencing our minds. We just need one picture that is appropriate and it will be stuck to your mind and it can actually trigger a whole wave of thoughts and dreams that you would not like to have. Because we have to absorb, we have to soak our mind in Krishna consciousness. That's why we have morning sadhana, we have chanting, which is like attentive with respect, trying to soak our mind and soak our mind. If you're more philosophical than reading, like, of course, you should all read, but if you have a philosophical, intellectual mind, you should read even more because your mind is going to be doubtful about the process if you don't read. If you like to, if you're more creative, then maybe you can read and write, make pictures. Read Big Gita and get some point and then draw a picture about it. It's you absorbing your mind in Krishna consciousness, absorbing your mind. And it really also takes to understand your mind, understand your body. Each of us have different vehicles. Some of our vehicles are more creative and we have to give them this creative impetus. Some of us are more intellectual and we like to analyze things and we need to analyze different scriptures. Some of us are more, as Kaviraj Prabhu is, more absorbed in writing poets or deity worship. So there are many different things that is more inclined to, our guna, our karma. And we need to, as much as possible, learn how to engage at least ourselves. If we cannot engage others, at least ourselves to be fully immersed. Because if we do that, when we meet devotees, you will not have different thoughts of, hey, what I read in the news, some nonsense. And you will always be thinking of the points you read and you will be inspired to share it. And it happens to me, I have to say that one of the best things about going to Ujjain, Maharaj said that he wants me to get cured. And the best thing about this whole Ayurvedic treatment was that I had a lot of time to be in a room by myself. So using this time to read as much as possible. And it was amazing experience after 1 or 2 weeks, just reading for 3 or 4 hours a day. Just like your thoughts are full of these incredible points that you've read, and more you're reading, the more you understand and more you remember all of these things. It's just enlivening. And when I saw devotees, I also tried to, Maharaj said, don't be a Babaji, also associate with other devotees. So when I met with them, I was always sharing what I realized, what I was reading, what I was thinking, what kind of points that were in my mind. And it was really enlivening. Maybe they were not able to contribute to the conversation, but they were also inspired, like, wow, so many points, so many interesting things, and you're sharing Krishna consciousness. And this is what in Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, the one who there is 3 levels of devotees. One who listens to this conversation, one who studies this conversation, and one who shares this conversation. can take it out. I have it in my notes. There's a benefit of each one. I think one is the piety. The second one is purification. And the third one, the one who actually shares this, becomes really dear to Krishna. And it all these processes are important. First, we have to listen. When we are listening, we are inspired, and we start to study. The more we're studying, we are inspired to share. And then the more we share, then we're more inspired to listen and listen and study and share. It's an amazing experience. So what's the trick? How come the sadhu sangha? How come the sadhus are constantly speaking only about Krishna? And how come that maybe I am not able to speak about Krishna? It's because we are soaking our mind into different things which are not related to Krishna consciousness. I want to share with you my vrata for Kartik, not because it usually don't share these things, but I think it's really, really relevant to this topic. Because I had a really deep experience of it, because when I was in treatment, one of the things I was doing next to my reading was watching the news. I was watching what was happening in different parts of, this messed up Kali Yuga, to say it shortly. And I have to say that these thoughts of what's happening in different parts of the world was more influencing me than the reading I was doing for hours. And I was like, this doesn't have any sense. This is just waste of time, waste of my mental space, waste of my time, energy, but mental space. Think about it. We have a mental space, mental capacities, and we are feeling it. It's nonsense. We have to be careful and actually be aware of what we are feeding our minds. So I decided, okay, let me take these distractions off, because Krishna consciousness means do what is favorable and stop doing things which are not favorable. So I was looking at, okay, all of these things on the internet, all this news about, and analyzing what's happening and this and that, how somebody did what with what, it just absorbed my mind in things which are temporary. Think about it. So we can say, like, let's watch the news. But actually, the more you're watching the news, the less you are actually surrendering to Krishna, because the more you are trying to influence something that you cannot. And what is the symptom? Symptom is fear. So you're listening to all these crazy news and articles about what's happening in the world, which we are not sure if it isn't true, because many of these things are just fake news, or just written because there is some hidden agenda, or they want you to think in this or that way. So we don't know if it's true or not. And many of things just it's they want you to read it more and more, so they make it really scandalous and big, So it's like the point I wanted to say. These things, let's say in my case, reading this news, I understood that I was trying to do Krishna's job. Krishna is already putting his plan in action. The demons think they are ruling the world, but Krishna is ruling all over them, because there is one higher ruler behind all of these demons, and it is Mahamaya. And they are actually, she is actually moving all the pawns by direction of Krishna. So trying to be the controller, learning all of these things, what's happening, and not focusing on Krishna, but trying to focus like on what this guy did or what this country did, it's just actually taking Krishna's role, doing the duty of Krishna. And then it's like, it's nonsense, because you're losing your energy. Instead of doing what you should do, you're doing other nonsense things. So this way, this is like one important point for us to somehow or another take all these things that is, even conversations with people, nonsense, like, think about it. Try to avoid anything that will absorb your mind in something else which is not Krishna consciousness. I yesterday noticed that I was chanting my rounds and it was going nicely, and then I started to speak with one devotee. One brahmachari came to me and we started to speak, just associate a little, and then afterwards I understood that it was hard for me. You hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you.
Sorry, did you hear this ringing of my phone?
No.
No, okay then. Sorry. So what I noticed that after I was speaking with this person, speaking thoughts, speaking actually fill our mental space with different information. And I noticed it was harder for me to chant after that conversation, even if the conversation was fully Krishna conscious, speaking about Vrindavan. You know, he was in Vrindavan, I was in Vrindavan, about our services. So it was all Krishna conscious. But it was for, calm, attentive chanting. It was a little overwhelming because I was starting to think about these thoughts instead of thinking about a mantra. So it's actually trying to be introspective, trying to understand what is going to take us away from observing ourselves in Krishna consciousness, doing our sadhana nicely, and dedicating ourselves to Krishna. And in this sense, sadhu sangha, interestingly, sadhus, not interestingly, but factually, only serve Krishna, only serve the Lord. We all try to come to that position. We also have to catch ourselves when we are not serving the Lord. I mean, I can travel with Maharaj my whole life, and I can be in illusion that I'm serving the Lord. But the moment he closes his doors, I can be in total Maya. So we have to catch ourselves the moments we are not serving the Lord and try to see how to serve the Lord. But one really important thing to come to that point is to first start serving the Lord, get absorbed in some aspect of serving the Lord, so that we actually get the experience. What does it mean to serve the Lord? What is the experience of our consciousness? What is our state of mind when we serve the Lord? So that then when we are outside this service attitude, you will notice, oh, I degraded. I don't think about the Lord anymore. Oh, I am in Maya now. Okay, what did I did wrong? And the last point I would like to share with you is that some benefits in my experience of constant sadhu sangha. In the sense, formally, spiritual master had a gurukula, and then the student was in the gurukula, spiritual master. So he had his association constantly. Until 25th, or if you were brahmachari, then you would have more. We have in the society of Krishna consciousness, our spiritual masters are traveling, having disciples all over the world. So we are not so much able to maybe associate with them personally so much. But of course, we associate with him through lectures, through the Vani, through the instructions. So I would just like to share a few of the things in my experience, the benefit for me that was really beneficial with like serving and associate with Maharaj. And I see a big shift in my mindset and everything what I got from him. I'm so eternally grateful that it is hard to even acknowledge, or even described, or even think how to reciprocate. It's impossible to reciprocate. You just feel useless to reciprocate properly, and you're just trying to do your best to serve him nicely as possible. So, of course, first thing, sadhu sangha means correction. You are going to be corrected. And some of these corrections will not always be directly, it will not always be directly something that you do. They can use opportunity to correct you for things that you didn't do at all. I can share one experience today. Maharaj, so we came to a house of one devotee, and she's a doctor. She made Ekadashi lunch for us. So I was just follow Maharaj. I didn't communicate with her, nothing. I just came following Maharaj. So we were offering to the Haridas the prasadam, and we finished the offering, and then the Mataji told me, look, dear Prabhu, so I made a separate prasadam for us, and I have separate prasadam for Maharaj because I know that Maharaj has a specific diet. And I said, Mother, whatever you give me, I'll be grateful, even if it's like one Ekadashi chapati, I'm totally grateful for anything. But she said it in the way but she said it in the way that it seems like she made a prasadam for Maharaj and then she made a separate prasadam for me, which actually the fact was she made a prasadam for us, all of us, and then she made a separate prasadam for Maharaj. So when we came to the table, Maharaj saw that there were some items for him and some items for me, and then Maharaj started to correct me, like, why are you making this Mataji to cook for you separately? I was like, "Mhm." And I have like, why did you make this Mataji to cook for you separately? And I have nothing to do with it. I have nothing to do with it. And I just humbly accepted. Yes, Maharaj, I'm sorry. It there's nothing you can do because defending is not an option because defending is bodily needs. I need to defend myself, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But actually, you're advancing much more if you do not defend because think about it. If you get such a situation, that means that you deserve it from your past karmic reactions. And it's also useful to get blessings from Maharaj because he is more pleased by your humble attitude than than who's right, who's wrong. Who cares? As I'm concerned, I'm always a fool next to Maharaj, and I'm always wrong. And it is our constitutional position. This is how we grow. So in this sense, Maharaj said one important thing. So he corrected me. He used this opportunity, even though externally doesn't look that I did something at least at that point. But Maharaj, he always sees internally what's happening in the disciple. He knows what is cooking inside of you. So he can use some opportunity to correct you. Even seemingly doesn't look like he did anything. And he said one sublime thing. Do not make others serve you. Vaishnavas always never to be served. You always have to serve others. But sometimes he accepts service just so he can do his own service. So it's not that I accept service so I can enjoy. I accept service just so I can continue doing my service. So it's service-related service. Other than correction, it's also guiding you to new higher levels. It's such amazing to see how much he wants to empower you. He's showing you things that it's hard to get from the Shastra. You have to see it for yourself. You have to be that in position. He's introducing you to really high elevated people. And just by his influence, just by the power of his influence, you're actually being honored. Like last 2 days, they were giving me a chance to give a Shema Bhagavatam class. So they were honoring a disciple on the equal level as a guru. And of course, the disciple has to be vigilant to forward all of these praises to the Guru Maharaj and to actually, to understand that all of these praises are actually spiritual masters. And it's amazing how much he's actually opening up so many doors, so many places to visit that it will be hard for me to get it. It is, thank you, Rajmantal Prabhu. It is like, it's just like, I do not deserve all of these situations, but because Maharaj loves us, because he wants us to advance, he opens us the doors of the spiritual realm like anything. And it's just amazing to see that. And for that, you need to be surrendered and follow his instructions, that he sees that you're ready and he will bless you. No doubt about it. Empowering him. The empowerment of his words is incredible. It's actually the whole, like, it looks like the whole, Shakti of the world is in his words. And just like undoubtedly following it, you just see so many opportunities, so many things opening just like that, just because of his desires. And all of these things that I was experiencing in Vrindavan, it's out of my mind. I will still process it for many years to come to understand what just happened in Vrindavan and all of these places and how blessed I was to be with Maharaj. I'm like really grateful that I'm traveling, especially in India and holy places with him, because like then the real nectar happens. And that's why I really also invite devotees to join the retreat of Maharaj, because many amazing things happen, especially in the holy dhams, especially in India, when Maharaj is like, it's a different person a little. So yeah. So this is like some of the reflections of sadhu sangha, other than all the instructions, all the um, lesson, and seeing him in live in different positions, speaking to different devotees in different way, different preaching styles he's doing. It's really inspiring, especially for someone who is inspired for preaching. Being with a spiritual master, it's like the best. Especially our spiritual master. I did notice there were many sannyasis in Vrindavan, but it seems like like few of them were really highly esteemed, and Maharaj is one of them. So I will stop here. I was speaking about that speaking to each other is actually, it can be a way of accepting and giving Krishna consciousness and developing relationships, about how important it is much easy, it's really easy and intuitive to speak about Krishna conscious things if we are absorbed our minds in different ways to Krishna consciousness. And I really advise all of us to reflect and see what is our mind thinking of, and how to take all this nonsense that is stopping us for being absorbed in Krishna consciousness. And then I shared some aspects of sadhu sangha, my experiences with Maharaj. So I would like to also hear your reflections on it, corrections, and if you have some other questions, maybe we can go deeper into this topic. Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. This very insightful thoughts and sharing your experiences and realizations. Thank you very much. So, dear devotees, we'll open up this wonderful session for Q&A. I would request if you can turn on your cameras to make it more lively, interactive, and personal, and that would be appreciated. Also, you can ask your questions by raising your hand or putting your question in the chat window where I can read it on your behalf if you are in a position not to speak. So, open up the floor for Q&A. Thank you. So, Prabhuji, I was just reflecting on the verse here that when the Bhagavatam was spoken with an ideal speaker and an ideal listener there. But in that assembly of Srimad Bhagavatam, we also see that there were a number of other types of transcendentalists who were not pure devotees as well. So we hear this in the purpose and many times in the lectures as well, that because sometimes there are explanations on some impersonal explanation in or Virata Rupa explanation, for example, and then the explanation is given that there could be other type of devotees. There were other types of devotees as well in the assembly. So this, I mean, a question to, or just a thought about when we are discussing these topics as well within devotees, there are different levels of understanding and devotees are at different levels of realization. So how should one reveal and what should one discuss? Because when you're discussing with friends, yes, but when discussing in a small group or even within friends, you sometimes, or context, you're not sure where different levels are. Obviously, we are all followers of Bhakti Yoga, not impersonalist or Virat Rupa followers, but how do the same principles applies when we discuss the Katha or Krishna's pastimes?
Did you had any situation in your mind?
No, not situation, but like, do you
think?
Yeah, sorry, Prabhu.
Is it like how to adjust our conversations with the audience?
Correct.
We are speaking.
Correct.
Yeah, that's yeah, because I noticed like Maharaj. So I read it 2 times. When he asked like who are the audience, they said new people. So what he did in these 2 classes, he was speaking a story of Maharaj Yudhishthir getting 4 questions to Maharaj Yudhishthir, and then he was speaking about the glories of the holy name. So it was interesting which topics. I mean, generally, we can see that in Krishna consciousness, we are speaking about philosophy. And it's like Bhagavad Gita is all philosophy. Srimad Bhagavatam is philosophy mixed with some rasa. And of course, there are higher levels of where it's when people are experiencing Krishna in a pure way of as a person, then they are actually discussing some kind of a pastimes. That are devotees that already have respect for Krishna. They understand him not in not contaminated way. They are reading this to deepen their love for Krishna and and also the followers. So I think it's like I think a spiritual master is the one who is guiding you when to speak which topics to who. And because generally, if you speak in philosophy, it's never, I don't know, it's like what high philosophy you can speak which can be okay. I understand what you want to say. You're not going to speak about, let's say, cosmology. It's really complicated topic, so you're not going to speak with a new person about cosmology, right?
Yes, or correct. But then when you're discussing the pastimes of Krishna, what considerations do we put in to say which pastimes do you want to go into, which pastimes you resonate with, which philosophical aspects you resonate with versus the audience or within your friends as well, and not with the audience, because with the audience, a topic has been given, and then you can structure it accordingly. But what happens when you're discussing it amongst devotees? That is where, not in a formal setting as such.
Is Sri Devi here?
Sridevi Mataji is here, yes.
I think that maybe a word of a wise person
My
with
humble
more experience.
obeisances to wonderful Vaishnavas, as Vrshabh Prabhu was speaking, as well as you, Dinanath Prabhu, was asking the question. I was just thinking, Lord Chaitanya never discussed the intimate pastimes of Radha Krishna. He never spoke about these things. And even his kirtans, his night kirtans, were held with the most intimate of his servants. So you're absolutely correct that certain topics of Krishna are to be spoken only according to the audience. We can see even our Guru Maharaj, how he stresses on holy name, service, devotional service again and again. He reminds us to get more and more absorbed in Krishna's name, Krishna's service, and so on. And we will never hear him saying, oh, Krishna went to meet Radha in the forest and, all the gopis were there and this and that. That hardly ever, in case it's Janmashtami or Radhashtami or something, then some pastime of Radha Krishna may, just come like that in the course of the. So even if we are in an intimate setting, non-formal setting, we maintain that etiquette because these are very elevated topics and they're not to be discussed, especially Srimati Radharani. She's the topmost servitor of the Lord. So we don't even speak so easily about her pastimes, unless it's the Bal Leela, childhood pastimes, how she was born and how she opened her eyes when she saw Krishna and so on. So I don't know exactly what you're driving at, but I'm hoping that this gives some understanding of the etiquette and the formality to be observed.
No, thank you, Mataji. That is the key. Yes.
I would like to add something that one thing that, let's say in India, everybody knows Krishna. Krishna selling butter, many these stories of Krishna, but they do not understand, the true story of Krishna. They understand, people think that Narada Muni is just a troublemaker. Narada Muni goes and just, he's like Narayana, and then he goes and says, comes and kill all the children of Vasudeva. So I mean, it sounds like well, he has like a bipolar problems, But no, and it's important for devotees and even new devotees to fall in love with Krishna is to understand these basic pastimes. I would say basic, not intimate, but basic pastimes of Krishna in the true light. And then we can say about, the Modara Lila in true light, not like, that why Krishna was doing what he was doing, what he was thinking, and to show his supremacy. Because what's the problem? People are, trying to explain Krishna's activities on the material mortal way. So I don't know if.
No, thank you, Prabhuji. This was helpful. Thank you. So, dear devotees, any other questions, comments in regards to the topic, or if you want to ask anything specific with regards to Prabhuji's interaction with Maharaj, because he has served Maharaj quite intimately, so lots of lessons and lots of realizations that he can share. Sridevi Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Dinanath Prabhu. Dear Vrshabh Prabhu, please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to our Guru Maharaj, and my humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. It is so, what to say, I don't know how fortunate Vrshabh Prabhu is to do this very intimate, very personal service for Gurudev. It is not an easy service by any means. It is very taxing, it is very demanding, it is very anxiety producing. It means you have to be, on your toes all the time. So it is a very, very demanding service. But as Prabhu has rightly said, it is also very purifying, very elevating, very eye-opening, and one learns so many things in the intimate association of Gurudev. So as Prabhu was speaking, I was remembering how our Janakinath Prabhu had accompanied Guru Maharaj, traveled with him and came, to different places, came to our home, and how he was serving Guru Maharaj and how he really, really took off, after that service, because Guru Maharaj said, just preach now, just preach. So I can see, wonderful things happening for Vrishabh also in the future. So I want to thank you, Prabhu, for sharing all your wonderful realizations. And I also want to share that Guru Maharaj can be heavy. He's very kind, he's very loving, he's very soft with us in Zoom classes because he knows we are like little children. But when you're serving him personally, whoa, he is heavy. Heavy means super heavy. I remember once in Ljubljana temple, Bhaktavatsal Nitai was there and he was showing, me how to do a few things and I didn't do them properly. And Guru Maharaj just would not stop chastising both of us. Boom, boom, boom. The bullets were coming at us all the time, every minute. No, boom, boom, like this. It was like, oh my God, can we do anything right here? We are just all fingers and thumbs and nothing. And Guru Maharaj, then finally it was all over and we were leaving and I said, thank you, Guru Maharaj, for the training. So Guru Maharaj said, what training? I just yelled at you. I said, even that, Guru Maharaj, I'm thankful for because I learned so much. Even through that chastisement, it was like so purifying. So I would never have learned those things. As Vrshabh Prabhu says, I would never meet these people. I would never see these places. I would never learn so many things. So very, very wonderful for you, Vrshabh Prabhu. It's your sincere heart that wants to serve that Guru Maharaj has seen and given you the service. It's very heavy service. And we pray that you will last it out for the whole tour and share even more of
Many
your
years to come.
realizations. Yes, more power to you. And thank you. Keep the nectar coming. I just want to offer my most grateful thanks for doing this very demanding service and also sharing the nectar with us. Thank you so much.
I'm not doing anything. Maharaj is just tolerating me constantly.
The other thing, it's just an observation from the purport, is Prabhupada is saying that both Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadev Goswami, so one is a king, an opulent king, one is a renunciate. They are on the opposite ends, but still they are pure devotees of Lord Krishna discussing the pastimes of Krishna. So that was very nice of Srila Prabhupada mentioning that. of how, at least I should be very mindful of not just looking at the externals and judging people or devotees as to where they are in the devotional life. So, dear devotees, any other realization, comments on this particular verse? Prabhuji, can you share a dealing? It's not related to the direct verse, but more about humility. I just wanted to pick on your example. Sridevi Mataji, you have your hands raised now or from before? You want to go ahead and ask a question?
If you don't mind, I just have
Yes.
a quick question. See, this purport, as you rightly said, it's a very interesting purport about how Shukadev Goswami is again saying that all these topics must be discussed amongst devotees.
Mm.
So I have a question to Vrshabh Prabhu, because I know he does a lot of preaching. So when lay people ask you strange questions and they say, you know, you Hare Krishnas, you're like this. My humble obeisances to you, Guru Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to your divine grace. Thank you very much. So when we say that you Hare Krishnas, why you don't drink tea and coffee? Why you keep reading all these strange books, you know, and you're so weird. You all don't go to work. You'll just hang around and dance once in a while, and you go with these books everywhere. You don't have any job, and when they talk like this, and what do we tell them?
One brahmachari yesterday told me it's hard to become a brahmachari in India because the parents are like, oh, what you gonna do? What's gonna, what will be of you? What you gonna be in your life? What you gonna be in your life? And then he said, I'm gonna be happy. That mother, father, like, what will be? I will be happy in my life. And it's really interesting. But when you actually think about it, because if you think what we actually need, it's love and it's community, it's relationships, and especially in India, you can see like India is a place of simple living, high thing. Like really, it's even if materialistic Indians are still, they understand, they see, they still see there is some power in this simple living and spiritual life and temples and everything. Even though they reject it, they cannot deny the power of it, and they're so close to understanding the spiritual life. And they in India, it's easy to convince someone. On the West, this is the question where the only means of sense gratification is animalistic, demoniac way of life. So when they ask you like, how can you do with all these things? And actually, they are fascinated. They are fascinating. I had just 2 days ago one. Maharaj had a preaching program to new people, but new people, they were elderly people in age and really influential rich people. So they were like high class, elderly people. And Maharaj had a program with them. And then one person invited Maharaj to come to his flat, which is like just one building far away. And he's on one building, big building, 6th floor. Inside it's like a palace. And we were sitting there. Maharaj, the sadhu is coming. So he was preaching to them, and then his son. So the father doesn't drink, doesn't eat paternity. The mother doesn't drink, doesn't. But the son, the children are influenced by the Western culture. So he's like drinking. He has a mini bar full of alcohol, So the only one drinking. And this son later, one devotee told me he was fascinated by seeing me. He's like, I'm trying to copy these guys, and these guys are now coming and not doing all these things and following my culture. And he was like fascinated. He's not drinking, he's not. How is that possible? It's mind blowing. Of course, one, if he's innocent, it's like I think it also brings to the point to who you preach. If the person is envious, then you can just you ignore him, or you just you can yell at him. I don't know. Because if he's envious and he's provoking, then there's no point of telling anything, because you're just using your energy. But if a person is sincere, I'm sorry, I don't understand. How do enjoy. Then you can, you can. I don't have like a pitch line, I have to say. I don't have a pitch line. I guess I hope that Krishna will inspire me in the spot. But you can explain him that what we actually truly really want. We want to be happy, and we have to understand what really gives us happiness, and show him that we are happy and that we are enjoying these things, and not we are. Of course, this is one thing, Sridevi, that one thing that I'm going to change when I come to Zagreb is we're not going to have harinams which will look like a half-dead zombies. This is like not way of preaching. It's on the streets and you're like, Hare Krishna. It's like it seems like somebody's forcing you to do it. So I think that there is it's normal that people ask, why are you doing these things? But if you really is like excited, enthusiastic, and everybody's like you are so happy doing it. So what's the catch? So then I think this is a good real pitching. But I don't have a pitch line though. But you can give us your pitch line.
It's so interesting for me to hear that this young boy was fascinated seeing you, because now you have taken to the Vedic culture and the Vedic lifestyle and the process of devotional service, while the youth of India are doing all kinds of weird things trying to become like the West. But as you rightly said, that basic piety is there, that basic Krishna consciousness is there. You can't get away from that. It's there in the genes, So still there is some hope, as Prabhupada said, because even though a dead elephant is there, even a dead elephant has value. The same way Vedic culture is almost dead, but Srila Prabhupada said it still has value. So yeah, because India is Tapo Bhumi, Punya Bhumi, it's a sacred land where the Lord came. Still there is some piety, there is something. But unless, people take to Krishna consciousness, they're just going to become more and more and more degraded. And I will share with you on my travels what I saw very briefly. I was sitting next to a lady and she was just wiping some tears and all. I said, so Mataji, what's going on? Oh, I just left my daughter. She has to work in this city. And I said, oh, really? That must be a little difficult for you. She said, yeah, she's my only child. And now she's gone to work. And so I said, is she staying in a safe place? Yeah, safe place. Everything is okay. I sorted. I said, oh, do you have pictures of your daughter? Because I just wanted to enliven her. So she started showing me photographs. And in one, she's hugging a dog. She's saying, oh, she's very fond of her dog. The dog is so dear to her. And I saw what looked like a puja plate very near the dog's feet. And I was thinking, puja plate, dog? I said, what is that puja plate doing so near the dog? Oh, she tied Rakhi to the dog. I said, really? She said, yeah. She's our only child and she doesn't have any brothers or sisters. So on Raksha Bandhan, she decided to tie Rakhi to the dog. I said, she tied it on his leg.
God.
Yeah, just see. No, she tied it around his neck. First, she put little kunku on his forehead. She put little rice on his forehead. And then she tied the Rakhi to his neck. I said, I didn't move a muscle on my face. I kept a blank face. I didn't say anything. I said, oh, I see. I said like this. And inwardly, I'm thinking, oh my God, what is happening to India? Young, educated young girls, they're tying Rakhi to a dog. And Prabhupada said this, if you do not love G-O-D, you will love D-O-G. He said it 50, 60 years ago. I don't know when, Prabhu, but he said it. And look what is happening. And she's taking pictures and she's showing me and she's telling me she's very, and I said, this is something new for me. I have never heard this. She's saying, अभी बहुत common है माता जी. सब लोग इधर रक्षाबंधन के दिन कुत्ता बिल्ली को राखी बांधते हैं. So I thought, okay, this is what India is coming to now.
Thank you for sharing this.
So people like you going around and being very Krishna conscious is probably going to knock some sense into a lot of Indians. Good for you.
In the yesterday was Sunday Feast program. Yes. So got another team. And then we started to dance because with treatments I managed to get more energy now, so I'm more enlivened to dance now. And this is my I met one devotee, Vibhu Chaitanya Prabhu, Jain, and he really kind of inspired me for like really hard, like really enthusiastic dancing for Krishna. So there was Gora Harati, and we were dancing, and I was starting to engage all the Indians, in dancing, and we made a big circle with lots of people dancing and everything. It was just amazing, especially if you see like really inspired, really inspired person that you think it's like in a higher level of civilization, whatever that means, doing the most basic thing that your culture is giving. It's like mind blowing. It was really nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's see what Krishna wants. And also in Vrindavan, it was really, really enlivening. In Vrindavan, if you are white-bodied and you have a garland, you must be a saint. It's like I can pick up garland there on the tree. Anyway, it was funny, the experience. But it's anyway, what to do.
Thank you,
This
Prabhu.
reminds me of the time, Dinanath Prabhu, do you remember when Srila Prabhupada in the 70s brought his dancing white elephants to India, and how in Surat it was a sensation. The whole city came to a halt, and all these devotees singing and dancing, and it was a riot. It was just, people hanging out of their balconies, falling over themselves to garland the devotees and offer arati, and they were so happy. If you see video clips of that time, the people of Surat became overjoyed to see these dancing white elephants, as Prabhupada called them. Of course, they're devotees. You offer all respects to them. But it made such a difference. People started thinking, wow, if these people are taking to our culture, we should be proud of our culture. And Prabhupada said that.
Yeah.
He said, when the Indians see the Americans becoming Krishna conscious, they will take Krishna consciousness seriously.
I hope so, Mataji. Let's do it.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, realizations? Yes, Mataji.
Any others? Yeah.
Shri Mataji.
Okay,
Want to...
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Vrshabh Prabhu, all grace to Shri Prabhu, all grace to Guru Maharaj. First of all, thank you so much for a wonderful class. It was like very heartwarming class. You are sharing your realization, you are speaking through your studies, your learnings. It was really very wonderful hearing all this. So as we were talking right now about the preaching aspect, so I just wanted to share one point and even open for the discussion with all of you devotees, because usually we come across all this kind of situations. Like people will not talk to us otherwise, but whenever something wrong is happening or something pinpointing they are feeling, they'll come and talk to us. That has happened that day in that place. ISKCON people were doing this and that. Like suppose this Bangladesh incident had happened. So, something wrong is happening, they'll come and definitely speak to you. Otherwise, they'll not talk. So I just wanted to ask that how you deal with this kind of people in those situations. Because I usually come across this kind of situation. I'm looking for your guidance.
Thank you, Mataji. Very, very relevant.
I have to say,
yes, Prabhuji, please.
I have to say that I'm a little out of the preaching field. I have to think about it a little. Please, and other devotees, if you'd like to join in. The first thing that comes to my mind is, I don't know what Bangladesh thing was, but to do the opposite, saying like, yeah, that's right, we should do it again, and just shock them because they are actually, they're envious, like the person is envious, then they have all their own conceptions, but if we do the opposite, there is always a reason, like a good reason why why it's logical that happened. But I think it's just my bold move to try to shock them a little and then come, to bring them to their senses a little before speaking to them. Yeah, I have to think about it. Maybe if somebody wants to, Dinanath, Prabhu, if you had some thoughts, maybe it would
Yes,
trigger some
Prabhuji.
thoughts.
We've experienced this just recently, more towards when we're going on the on-street book distribution in Harinam. You come across many hardcore Christian missionary preachers who shouts a lot, who will stand by you and shout, and Jesus is the only way, and the usual things that they do. I found a way for at least myself to keep it more peace at myself when these things happen, where I normally go up to them and I say that, first of all, I acknowledge them that the good things that they do, because I say the world is a place of atheism. Everybody is atheists turning into atheism. So at least what you're doing out is a good thing. At least you're preaching the glories of Lord. And then sometimes they go into the arguments about Jesus is the only way and things like that. And I just humbly say that you are more spiritually advanced than me. So please pray to Jesus that I can make some spiritual progress. And when I say that, they are completely diffused because there's nothing for them to say more. Sometimes they would say Jesus is the only way, and then I would say, and we love him. And they would like, oh, really? Oh, then there's nothing to say. And what I've realized through these things, because also in the family as well, when the family members are not favorable for Krishna consciousness, they are always looking for one thing in you. So they don't say anything to you, but they will be minutely observing your activities, your behavior, your acharan. And at a slightest deviation, according to moral standards or social standards or country standards, they will come and say, hey, you should have done this, or what about this? Because of envy, or because of they just want to pinpoint, or mostly because of envy, they will do that. And what I've realized is that, as Prabhupada said, that devotee should be a perfect gentleman. A perfect gentleman. We are representatives of Prabhupada on the streets, within where we are going, within our families as well. And our behavior dictates whether you are bringing them closer to Krishna, or closer to Prabhupada, or away from Prabhupada and ISKCON or Krishna. So I always keep that in my back head, because I go out a lot and we see this as a lot, and within family you see this as well, is to make sure that you are always, your response should always be very Krishna conscious, in the sense that not agitated and not provocative, even though there are many, many provocative situations that they come and they try to do this, why that, right? In those situations, then we always have to remember that we are representing Srila Prabhupada, and we have to give an intelligent response to them, but in a way that, that they're not really, really that put off, and you're always leaving them with a good impression in the end.
But interestingly enough, Tina Prabhu, that Madhya Adhikari, what he does with envious people.
Sorry, Prabhu, what did you say? Madhya Adhikari?
Madhya Adhikari, what he does with envious people.
Madhya Adhikari, what he does with envious people is, try to avoid them. Avoid them.
That's interesting. So yeah, I mean, of course, you can say something to them so you can avoid them. But yeah, it's like I know one Christian preacher, and he's a fanatic, but I like him. And and he's a good guy, but he's fanatic, but he's a good guy. So I listen to him, say, you're such a fanatic. I like you. And he's like fascinated that he's fascinated that I like him, even though he's and I said so many times, and I was like, oh, so how are you? What's happening? Oh, you're preaching very nice, So, and then again, he's like, oh, this is nonsense what you're doing. Stop being a fanatic. So how are you? It's like very, 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 very interesting, like those situations. And yes, especially with envious people, especially the ones who take your land, it's like just somehow or another, just
You are breaking up a little bit.
Anyway, I didn't say anything new. Yeah. Sorry,
You know what is
Mataji.
going on.
If we managed to turn this topic a little.
Does that answer your question, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Wonderful explanation from both of you that we have to give them some convincing response in their favor, at the same time maintaining our dignity. And wonderful answer by Rishabh Prabhu as well. Being a humorous is a wonderful way of keeping them in place and satisfying their very
Yeah,
that
especially
art
regarding
we have to
Bangladesh.
learn.
Regarding Bangladesh, yes, a lot of my brother-in-law is a very hard nationalist, a
Mm,
Hindu nationalist sort of thing. So he would come and say, "What is this con doing with all these things? We got to be Kshatriyas. You guys are not fighting." And
mm,
and then we always say, "Okay, let's start up. Why don't you join ISKCON and start a Kshatriya department?" So like Prabhuji said, we can say, "Oh, right, you be part of the solution. Come in, right? Let's do it." And then let's see what they have to say. But it is challenging. Thank you very much, Mataji. So just conscious of the time, we're 10 minutes past the hour. If there's no further questions, with your permission, Prabhuji, can we conclude the class for today? I don't know, Mataji, do you want to chant? That's oh,
Yeah, today's Ekadashi over here, at least in India, Rama Ekadashi. So even otherwise, we generally chant in the, evening session. So if you don't mind, I can host the call for
yes,
at least
Mataji, if
an
I can
hour.
make you the host.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll just pause the recording.
Okay.